Hi, Danielle. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about
Hi,
Norwich
Sharon.
Rugby. Um, to
Thank
start,
you for
could you?
having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. To start, could you introduce yourself and tell us what years you played at Norwich and what positions you played?
So I'm Danielle Richards. I played 2013 through 2017. Started out as a winger because I'd never played rugby before, and I think
Oh,
that's where never played gets thrown into the positions.
yes.
So started at wing and ended up bouncing around a couple different positions and fell mostly with wing and flanker.
Oh, nice, nice. So, if you had never played rugby before, how did you start playing for Norwich Rugby? How did that happen?
So I think I liked something on the Norwich page, and I got contacted by Austin Hall through the mail. I was a wrestler through college or through high school, and I was looking for something that was going to be just as competitive, that I could play at Norwich and keep me engaged in the sports, the contact sports that I loved. And rugby kind of just shown itself to me. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, we know some girls who live in your town who play. So why don't you link up with them, play in the summer before you come, and just kind of join the team?" And that's kind of what I did.
Oh, wow,
It
wow,
was a
that's
really random. Like I truly feel like it was like fate that I must have liked something on the page of Norwich for him to send me a, reach out to me, because I never would have known about rugby otherwise.
interesting. So he was actively recruiting. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Um, and how was it? How was it playing for Coach Hall? Was it a very professional gig? We weren't. We were fly by night. So to hear these stories about how professional it was and how organized it was is fascinating.
It was interesting. I've had a lot of different coaches over the years, and I've learned a lot from every coach I've ever been with, good and bad. And
Sure.
I think when I joined, he was focused, very focused on that team, and the team was very good when I got in. So it was really hard to, you wanted to impress the girls because they were doing so well and had gotten to the national championships multiple times. So um, yeah, I think he was on his game when I first arrived.
Did you guys continue that trend? Did you go to nationals as you got older? Your
We
senior
went
year?
freshman and sophomore year, and then when we went into junior year, we lost every pretty much a lot of starters. We lost a lot of starters. My grade was actually the first grade that was an all cadet recruiting class. So
What?
we
Wow.
didn't have any civilians in that grade. So
Wow.
the 2013-14 class was all cadets. So
Fascinating.
um, yeah, so that was a quick turnaround from what we came into. We kind of started to the competition was harder as I got into my junior and senior year. I think rugby became a lot more known. People were recruiting really well, and I don't know that the recruiting really kept up in the junior senior year time
Hmm.
frame.
Okay. So, are there any favorite memories you want to share with us from your time playing rugby at Norwich?
Oh gosh, locker room shenanigans, some of my favorite, and then it would be just nights
Lock
out with the team.
Locker room shenanigans? You guys had your own locker room?
We did, yeah. We had our own locker room, and like that was always fun to like kind of just like get pumped before a game or like before practice and then go
Huh.
out to the pitch. I really loved going out doing the Monday mile with the team. That's a great memory.
And were your locker rooms right there in the clubhouse?
They weren't in the clubhouse. They were actually in the sports facility spot at Norwich. So we had like our own keypad to get into the locker room, and um, but the clubhouse was its own thing, and that was always a special place to hang out.
Very cool. So I stopped you. You were saying locker room shenanigans, and then what was after that? The Monday Mile?
We liked doing the Monday mile. It was like just a quick mile we had to do when we were watching film on Mondays. That was always like great. We had good like camaraderie and team conversations about how the game went. I always felt like that was some of the biggest takeaways to learning the game and getting to know everybody in their leadership roles. And then I really, really just loved like bus rides to games too. Just getting
Hmm.
to know everybody outside of the core. Because being a cadet, I didn't, my freshman year specifically, didn't really get to talk to these girls outside of what was just rugby practice and bus rides to games. So that broke up the core life a little bit.
Wow. Bus rides. We didn't have bus rides. We had our
They
personal
forgot to
vehicles.
they forgot to feed us. I hope that's improved. But you know, we'd get on the bus and there wouldn't always be food, but it's fine.
What, when you got back to the campus?
Like we would take these long rides. Like we'd go to West Point sometimes, or like one time we were like anytime it was like long rides, early bus rides, you're supposed to have like breakfast from the chow hall, but oftentimes that was forgotten. So it's
Oh,
kind of nothing was open on campus. You know, it's like in the middle of nowhere. So if the chow hall is not open, then you're not really getting much.
yeah, then you're
So
screwed.
that was always one of the logistical errors we'd have often. But hey, can't complain. We had bus rides. We got to go places, and I was just happy to leave campus as a freshman.
Absolutely. Yep. And we actually left campus my freshman year. We were going over to Vermont College my first 2 years. We didn't have Norwich at rugby. That happened my junior year in '93.
It's really like amazing. Like the earlier generations, like were able to get us where we are. I think. Like I really appreciated everything. I learned a lot about the history of how women's rugby started, and without you girls like advocating for the sport, it would never have gone where it is. It's like truly amazing.
It is. And I
Fell
and
in
I
love
love it.
with fell in love with it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think anyone that actually played the game would fall in love with it. It's mesmerizing. It's a lot of fun. So we have the bus rides. What about, so someone else was telling me that drink ups really didn't happen on campus. Did you guys have drink ups after games on campus?
Not as much. It was pretty yeah, we weren't supposed to drink on the field after. They got pretty strict with that kind of stuff, being that it was a dry campus.
Hmm.
So it got pretty strict after that, but we'd always find a way to meet up with each other later on in the evenings. And you know, it was always like, I don't care if you feel like you got hit by a bus, take a shower, we're going out. Like
Yep.
we're going to the rustic, or we're gonna go to this, you know, team's house for a party. So we would definitely always get together, just not normally on the pitch as probably like old girls did.
Wow. Yeah, and we had civilians. So we had my freshman and sophomore year, we had the House of Sin. It was the rugby house. It was the older girls' house. We'd just go there. It was just one party after another. But so
Yeah,
tell
we
me
rugby house. The boys had one.
the and you guys still hung out with the boys or not as much?
Yeah, I think we had a good relationship with the boys because some people were either in the same platoons or companies. And like if they played rugby, we know them, so we would hang out with them. Yeah.
Cool. What about life in the Corps? How was it? You said your class was all cadets. Did your cadre give you a hard time about going down to play rugby? Did you get called all
They
sorts of
would
names?
they would at times, but it wasn't I think it was like mandated that they weren't allowed to interfere with people going to practice. They weren't allowed to like, you know, make you late or give you, you know, a hard time because they I think they really cleaned that up, knowing that like they want people to stay at Norwich, and if they're there for sports too, like they needed to make sure that they made the time to make sure we got to practice. So I think a lot of what maybe the older generations had gone through and the complaints maybe that came from that, I'm thinking what cleaned that up maybe. Not entirely sure, but I didn't get it wasn't too hard of a time. There was only a few times that it was like, you know, they kind of treated you different, but it wasn't too bad. Nothing you can't handle.
That's good. That's good. Different culture. Now, what about, are there any lifelong lessons that you hold with you through the years from Norwich Rugby that you can fall back on?
Absolutely. This the sisterhood thing that sisterhood
That's
is
the number
huge.
one answer.
Chosen family. I think that, you know, there's girls who I have sisters, I have a really tight family, but there's girls on the team who don't have that. And like we are chosen family. And I think rugby gives you a family, a sense of sisterhood and culture that you would maybe
Sure.
not otherwise have. And the friendships, I am close with all of my friends from Norwich still to this day. And we've never lost touch. We can talk about, oh my gosh, remember jacket night, or remember that party or that game. Um, we can talk about it like it was yesterday. And that's
Yep.
my favorite part. I have that forever. And I know a lot of people lose touch over the years, but I never have with my Norwich friends.
Yeah. And even if you do lose touch for a couple of years because life gets in the way or whatever, you're just gonna pick right up where it left off. It's just, it's awesome.
It's incredible. And I really am excited to see and meet a lot of you girls because I know I think there was a disconnect at some point. I really don't know a lot of the older generation, and I don't have so I'm looking forward to hearing them when I come up for the weekend.
So there was conversation about having a Scrum alum dinner on Saturday, but then that stopped and now we're not. But there's going to be plenty of opportunities to get together, and it'll be a lot of fun, I think. A lot of fun.
I think so too. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm heading off to Fort Huachuca for a 6-month Army school in October.
Oh,
So one of my like last weekends before I have to head out. So it'll be a good note for me to head out there for.
are you Signal?
I'm MI intelligence. Yeah.
That's right. MI's out there too. Cool. Very cool. Well, before we close, before we finish, was there anything else you want to share about your time at Norwich? Any other things we didn't cover?
I just really am so grateful that you can be any size, experience, athleticism, and if you have some like tenacity and strength and just like commitment to that sport, anyone can play it. You don't have to be a specific person to play Norwich rugby. It's amazing. So that's
Absolutely.
just what I loved about rugby. And I played for clubs. I think one of the older girls was it Scott Johnson's wife.
Oh, Spieth? Jen Johnson? Yeah.
Yes, Jen. I played on the club team in their town for a little while when I got
Oh, really?
yeah, actually Scott, her husband, Scott, I work with him and he introduced me to the club teams. So
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah,
Small world.
it's like never ending. The Norwich connections that I see even at work and the people I've met, it's like there's Norwich people everywhere.
There are Norwich people everywhere. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
And
that
that'll stay like that forever.
it will always will be, and I love it. I love to talk about Norwich, my time there. So
Awesome. Well, we'll have plenty of time to get together and chat in September, that's for sure.
yeah, so
Well,
looking forward to it.
me too. I really am too. Thank you so much for taking time to chat today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sharon. I really look forward to seeing you guys at Alumni Weekend and just like connecting and talking about all our stories.
Absolutely. It'll be a blast. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Bye.
Bye-bye.